Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about belt sanders, okay? Like these guys right here. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and give you a quick update on the channel since it's still kind of early 2024, right? So it's been a minute since we posted a few videos, but I'm hoping that by the time this video posts, we'll have posted a few deals and stuff that we picked up and some things that we found. So hopefully, if you're into those types of things, you're still finding those on the community post, I guess. But other than that, a few quick updates on the channel are that one of the things that we found recently is that we have a lot of stuff on the channel that kind of varies from all kinds of different topics and stuff. And one of the things we decided to do is try to pull a lot of the other stuff on the channel, which has related to at least energy storage or solar or DIY and power stations and that kind of stuff to its own channel. Right, and we'll keep this channel mostly to tools and DIY and that kind of stuff, okay? It doesn't mean that there won't be crossover, mainly because sometimes power stations, stuff like that are sometimes relatable. But for the most part, we'll try to keep this channel more the Binford 9000 tool-oriented with home improvement. Just a joke in there for people who understand that. And the other channel mostly for energy storage and other types of stuff, okay? The other update to the channel is we'll probably try to make this channel more fun and not be so serious all the time, or maybe that's just me, I don't know. But that's kind of going to be the effort of this channel going forward. And like I said, we'll try to be more friendly and more updatable, if that makes sense. Another person also told me, I ran into somebody who was watching my videos that I didn't know they were watching the videos, and they were like, why are you talking so fast all the time? And I said, I don't know. I just talk that fast all the time naturally. I don't just talk slow all the time and talk fast in the videos. It just doesn't make sense. So if you think I'm talking too fast, let me know and we'll try to slow it down. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle because always talking fast, okay? So, but I'm going to try to keep that in mind and try to, slow it down a little bit. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the meat of the video today, which is these belt sanders, okay? So we've been working on a lot of projects recently outside of our full-time jobs and, YouTube videoing, parenting, all these other types of things that we're doing, right? So it's been a little bit of a minute since we've been posting a lot of videos, but we're going to try to make that better. But no excuses. But the point I'm making here is that some of the things that we've been doing recently are been more woodworking oriented. So which is vastly different than our normal stuff of like, mainly commercial and that kind of stuff. But with that being said, the woodworking thing has given me a little bit different perspective on some of that type of stuff, mainly because we've been using these guys recently, and we have not been using these a lot recently, okay? It's probably been months or years between some of these since we've turned them on. So we have, I want to say, some good feedback with this compared to some of the new stuff that's kind of been on the market, right? We're going to not talk super detailed about these belt sanders, mainly because this is not a video of reviewing this particular belt sander, because I guarantee you they probably don't sell these anymore because we've had these for so many years. I would be surprised if they were still selling these. I know Makita still sells belt sanders, but I don't know if they sell these models, okay? But like I said earlier, both of these are pretty much almost exactly the same. One's a 9910, which I think is this one, and this one is a 9911. The only main difference is that it has this variable speed dial, which you can kind of set, but other than that, they're pretty much almost exactly the same, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and move one aside and just kind of talk about one of them, all right? So before I go ahead and talk about this, I do want to go ahead and say recently, after using many hours of using this, we kind of decided to make the cordless jump into using a cordless belt sander, and we picked up the Milwaukee M18 one on a really great deal. So after many, I want to say short bursts of using that, we stopped using it, and then we pretty much returned it, and I'm kind of regretting returning it really fast without making a video, mainly because I wanted to make sure we got it back inside the return window, okay? But the biggest issue I had with that is that the belt tracking does not stay on track. And I don't know if it's just that particular model or just that one we got was a dud or whatever, but for some reason, under like very light use, it works great. It's a great sander, okay? But like medium to heavy use, that belt would always be swaying off, and you'd have to always stop and get it back on, tighten up and adjust and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, wow, ain't nobody got time for that, right? So we just said, let's get that one back and we'll just try a different one, okay? So I don't know if I'm the only one who's been having that issue with that belt sander, but I do want to say that, we did try that. And that's kind of one of the reasons I'm going back and say, yeah, they don't make things like they used to. And that's maybe one thing, right? But I do have other cordless belt sanders on order, so we can go ahead and use some of those and get some experience and get some of that out to you, okay? So With that being said, a lot of people are going to probably say, well, you don't need a cordless belt sander. Well, boy, because you got to, belt sanders, it's going to take a lot of power. You're going to have to do all this stuff, right? And you're going to be doing all long, it's going to be long strides of work, and it's just not going to, it just doesn't make sense. Well, I can go and say, yeah, if that was really true, then, all these companies wouldn't be making all these belt sanders and people wouldn't be buying them. So, that obviously ain't true. But they do have a point, because most of the people using belt sanders are usually going to be using it for long periods of time. But they're also a short period of time where you just need a short belt sander. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this, okay? So this right here, like I said, is 1910 model or 9910 model from the Makita, and this one uses a 3 and an 18-inch roll. This one is belt driven, as belt sander implies. And this one has worked really well. One thing I do not enjoy about maybe some of these old tools, and people may disagree with me on, is that you can pick this tool up and say, wow, that is a quality tool, mainly because you can pick it up and it feels solid, heavy. This thing's falling off tables, all kinds of stuff, and it's still rock solid, okay? Some of the other ones you pick up nowadays, you pick it up and you'll be like, man, that thing feels like a toy, right? So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I think the stuff they made in the older days was like heavier or just felt like more quality. I'm not sure if that's a component of the weight or the housing or something, but it just feels like that, right? And someone's probably going to disagree. Well, that's because you've been using this tool for like tens of years or whatever, and then those tools just feel new and familiar to you. That may be true, but still, at the end of the day, I can pick this one up like one-handed and say, wow, that one feels hefty and feels nice, right? And sometimes that's what you want, right? So without too much going into it, I'm going to say, obviously, the belt's here. This here, right here, is the tracking knob you want to turn with a screwdriver to help keep it on track. And this one has never really came off the track, have had no issues. Even if you go like this sideways, a lot of people say don't do that, right? This one always stays on track. The paper I have on here are Diablo. I think this is Diablo. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure this one here is a Diablo, but this one obviously doesn't have a variable speed, but it does have a lock mechanism right here. So once you press it in, you can kind of lock it into place, okay? Initially, I would say when I first got this, I didn't realize there was a lock, and a lot of times they're using it. What I did was put a Velcro strap on here to hold it locked, and only for somebody to tell me, it has a lock, right? And only somebody had to tell me it was there, okay? But like I said, this was many years ago. So that's interesting to know, because like just using it, you won't actually feel like that button is there. So it doesn't stick out to you to say, oh, there's a button there, right? It just feels very comfortable. Anyways, the point is, this one works well. It has a really hefty cord, and after many years of using this cord, it spins, swivels, and does all this kind of stuff, and had no issues with this cord. The way you put the belts on these things are you pretty much pull this lever up, right? Which kind of removes the tension off of the thing, and you can kind of take this off. This looks like it. Yeah, this is a Diablo. Same paper we have on here, right? And you put this back on here, right? And then you put this back like so. You can run it a little bit. Right now it's not plugged in, and it'll get on the track, and if it's not tracking properly, you just adjust the screw here to figure out how to make it track, okay? So that's all there really is to this tool, right? The one thing I will go ahead and say that I do not like about Makita tools that most people know is that for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, anytime they come up with a dust extraction port on their tool, it's always of some random size that nobody ever uses, okay? So, like some companies, they'll have maybe 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 sizes, but I'll say mostly like 1 or 2 sizes of dust extraction, because you need, small ones for like smaller tools that don't remove that much stuff very fast, and then big ones for like, tools that do create a lot of dust. But for some reason, like I said, in Makita's infinite wisdom, they say, hey, every time we create one, let's just create another size of a dust port, right? Maybe I'm the only one who feels like that, but for some reason, Makita always does that, okay? And I am not happy with that. That's one thing I do not enjoy, okay? So these come with these, what do you call these? Dust bags, and they work fine. But I almost rarely never use them with the dust bag, mainly because I'm removing a lot of material fast, and I don't want it to fill up here in the bag fast, because the bag, I don't want to stop every, 2 minutes to empty the bag out. That doesn't make sense. So what we have is usually we're connecting a dust extraction system, and this one here is the Bosch is the Bosch one, and the Bosch one with just a little bit of 3M, it was like Tremflex tape wrapped around here to build it up, works really well. I do really enjoy this Bosch extraction mechanism, but we're not going to go ahead and talk about that, mainly because that's not what this video is about. But what I will go ahead and say is, if you are looking at building up a dust port, go get the 3M Tremflex tape, which is a pretty thick rubberized self-adhering tape, but it's not really a tape. Does that kind of make sense? It's rubberized and it's really good. And in the past, I've always used like duct tape or electrical tape and all that kind of stuff. But I would say Tremflex rubberized self-adhering one is the best one, mainly because it's rubbery and it adheres to itself and it's thick, okay? It doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. There's no like adhesive to it. Let me know what you think. Do you think that they kind of make the tools like they used to, or is the quality and sturdiness and all that stuff kind of going downhill? Maybe there's a good balance. I don't really know how I feel about that, I can go ahead and say some of the tools that they made, like, I don't know, like 5, 10, 20 years ago, however long we've had these things, they just seem to still be working rock solid. And nowadays, sometimes we're always trying to figure out how to warranty some of this brand new stuff with the better technology, with better builds, right? That just doesn't make sense. So you let me know. If you have any comments like that, let me know too. But like I said, we'll try to get a little bit more friendly and try to get more videos going. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day. Get back to work, and we'll see you guys next time.